This one's for Elise. How has Laura's love for Carmilla really helped her form a different look at both herself and the world?
Ooh, just starting off with the big
right? Go in the bang.
How has Laura's love for Carmilla helped shape her view of the world?
Yeah.
Oh boy. I think Laura's love for Carmilla has changed so much from season 1 to season 3. We were just talking over there a bit about how season 1 was a bit more of infatuation. It was a bit more of lust and tension and chemistry and then season 2 is that period of really kind of like getting to know the person underneath that. And then season 3 is about accepting those parts of a person and accepting everything and knowing that there's always room for growth. Like accepting yourself and accepting other people doesn't mean that change can never happen. It just means that I have to first accept and know who I am to decide if that's what I want to live with. And so I think in season 2, Laura puts a lot of blame on Carmilla, and Laura puts a lot of negative energy towards Carmilla. And then, I think if you ever are in conflict with someone, and if you are ever placing blame towards another person, it's because you're not accepting that those things are also in yourself. And so I think the thing that Laura really learns and that Carmilla really teaches her is that there's always a gray line, and that in order to see everyone as a human and to see everyone in this sort of like even playing field, you have to accept all the things in yourself as well. Yeah, it's such a huge question. No, it's awesome. I love it. Like, I don't know. Is there anything you want to add to that? Yeah.
That's your character.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Yeah. So I think that was a big thing.
So obviously we get to meet Laura's dad this season. Do you think that him being kind of present in it hindered the relationship or the growth of it? How did your characters feel about that being thrown into the mix?
Hindered Laura and Carmilla's
Carmilla and
relationship?
Laura, yeah.
I think it actually helps Laura and Carmilla's relationship a lot, because I think Laura's dad is sort of like the final representation and piece of her sort of like birth into this new person and this new woman. And I think sort of letting go of your parents is that final step. And I think that just sort of like propels Laura forward into knowing that like this is a relationship that she wants to invest in and be her best self in.
Yeah, I think at first Carmilla is obviously a little annoyed that he's there, probably because she has some sexy plans and he's gotten in the way of them, but also because he's so overprotective of her, and Carmilla wants to protect her as well, but I think Carmilla did learn how to let Laura go a little bit as well and realize that she is growing up and that she is her own woman. But I think their mutual love for Laura and their want to protect them ends up making them friends, and I think it was really neat for Carmilla to also see pieces of Laura's past and understand her that she wouldn't have known unless he had shown up, because they had this sort of moment, and in my mind, you only see it for a second, but in my mind they cracked open a bottle of scotch and he showed her baby pictures. They had like a fun bonding time, so yeah.
That's awesome.
A lot of the action takes place off camera, so if you guys could film any of the off-camera events, which ones would you want to film?
Oh, wow. From any season?
I think
I was going to say, there's a moment in season 2 where I come back and there's blood all over my face, and I've gone on like this killing spree, and I really would love to just do that. I'd love to see that. I'd love to see Carmilla as like a warrior when she's just out there, just like using her crazy vampire strength and tearing things up.
I think for me, in season 1, when Laugh and Laura go to the library for the first time, and they make an improvised flamethrower, and the computers are all screaming, "Run, run now!" Being in the whirlwind of that, I think would have been really fun to film.
Yeah.
So you spent like 2 seasons always talking about the library. So what was it like to actually film there?
It was so magical. It was so much fun. I'm really glad that we got to finally see it.
Yeah.
And I think there are just so many adorable little lighting tricks that we use that really give it this sense of this sort of Harry Potter-esque feel that I really loved. And it was really neat to see that magical door because they rigged it with lights. Like, it was just so interesting to even just see the process of how they did it and how they used a lot of just old Hollywood tricks versus that they probably used in the 40s versus special effects. So yeah, that was really fun.
Yeah.
It was a fun character to play off of.
Yeah, totally. Like Natasha said, it sort of becomes a character in itself this season. And so, like, being in that environment just added a whole new layer to how we existed in the space. It was really fun.
Now, in the second season, definitely, and a little bit in the first season, Laura is very much the gung-ho hero, I want to save everybody, and Carmilla is like, can we just stay here and not die? Whereas this season, Carmilla has to sort of play that role and get Laura to do anything.
Yeah.
What was it like to have to play that for Carmilla, who still kind of doesn't want to die?
I dare say that Carmilla does not care if she dies in season 3. I think that because Laura now, I think it was really fun and interesting to play that sort of role reversal, and now Laura is the one saying, Carmilla, you might get yourself killed, and Carmilla is willing to do that, to save her friends and to save Laura, which is really interesting. I think that Carmilla's just finally had enough of her mother, and Carmilla really becomes so empathetic in such an interesting, beautiful way. I think she's still a little blasé about certain things. It's just sort of like, well, we're just gonna kill her now. That's the way it's gonna go. But so she hasn't lost her character, but she definitely has some drive and some motivation, and it actually made acting a lot easier because then there was something to drive me and something behind all of the text. So.
Camilla's only family has really been her mom, Nadine, and Maddie. What does seeing Laura's relationship with her father and friends show her about what family actually means?
Oh, I think she learns a lot. In that moment that she says, well, he's proud of you. My father wasn't. And I think Carmilla's been very alone in the world for the most part, aside from Maddie. She obviously has some other vampire siblings. I think she had Will, and I don't think they were very close. I think, they sort of butt heads. But I think Maddie's the closest thing that she had to a mentor or to, a parent figure. And she's her older sister, but in many ways she was like a mother to her. And it's such a great question. I think it's not just seeing Sherman, but I think even seeing how Laura interacts with her friends has taught something about family and how family can be your friends and can be what you create yourself.
So obviously the stakes are pretty high this season. If you guys had to choose, each of you choose 4 talismans to represent your personality that would unlock some secret about you, what would you choose? And it could just be anything. It doesn't have to be anything.
It's such 4 talismans. Great.
4 things that I had to put my...
Such a great question. Oh my goodness.
And then you have to tell us the secret after you tell us.
Yeah. It's a good question. I have to think about it.
Mine would be a yoga mat. A yoga mat. What else? Probably a bit of a tree branch or something.
They're so good and they make sense. I have no idea.
Maybe a book on acting. Maybe Stanislavski's book. And then
Building a character?
An actor prepares. And then what else? And final one.
No, it's really hard. I'm having an existential crisis right now.
Who am I? And then maybe like, I don't know, like some sort of like family heirloom that I can't think of right now that I'm sure exists.
Yeah. I feel like mine would be like a very ancient piece of sheet music.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Some sort of handwritten piece of sheet music. 1. 2, maybe like a deck of tarot cards. Perhaps like I'm realizing I'm just a witch.
That's your secret.
Maybe.
I was like, can it be anything to be alive? Like a newt? Like, a lot of people don't know this about me, but I had a pet newt for most of my life growing up.
Believe it.
Just like a newt. Yeah. A newt. And maybe like, oh gosh. I don't know.
I keep on just picturing a stone. I feel like that's pretty
what I
on
was-
the nose, but a stone is.
That's what I was thinking as
Yeah.
well. Like something, I have a really big crystal collection at home, so
Yeah.
I feel like some kind of crystal gemstone thing.
So now if
That
you
was
were
like
ever
blood red or something.
possessed or anything, you all know how to kill us now.
How do you guys get into character? Like, do you have a specific ritual or like music that you listen to or anything like that?
Oh, no specific ritual. The only specific ritual I have is that I am really organized and always buy like a new binder and a new set of highlighters when I get my scripts, and I keep them really organized. That's something that I've always done, whether I'm doing theater or film and television. I like keeping Carmilla pretty languid, so I try not to get too much sleep or oversleep. I actually like when my voice is a little tired sounding for her. Like I'll purposely be a bit tired and not sleep, just to kind of keep her like loose and gravelly.
I think for me, something awesome about season 3 this year was that our characters were already there. We've already done so much work on that, and this year I felt a lot more freedom to play around on set. And because we film at such a rapid pace, sometimes that's not easy to do. So for me this year, it was a lot about just relaxing before we went into filming, because there's not a lot of time, and so you really just want it to be dropped in as soon as the camera started rolling. And so for me, it's just a lot of like really deep breathing, deep low breathing, and really making sure that I'm there connecting with the other actors. Caitlin and I would give each other massive hugs every morning before we started rolling, just to sort of ground ourselves and remember, like, oh yeah, like heart to heart, like our hearts touching, like that's what this is about. Like acting is about connecting, and not being so like up in your brain and stressed, and like so just like remembering to relax my shoulders.
And it's funny because Carmilla's pretty elusive in some ways and aloof, so I'd actually spend a lot more time by myself on set when I prepare for her, less so in season 3 because she is sort of part of the gang, but you know, when I'm doing something that's like a comedy or playing a different sort of character, I'm really like goofy on set and will sort of like, you know, not prank people, but like, you know, fool around and laugh and joke and be part of the crowd. But with Carmilla, I definitely kind of like lurk around in the shadows and like have a lot of quiet time. But before our scenes together, we always make sure we like, you know what's something weird? It sounds so strange, is touching people's hair. Because it's such a like intimate thing. You normally, when you meet someone, you don't just like touch their head or touch their hair. So I always feel like before like.
So now you know on sets, Natasha's just like lurking like a cat in the shadows and just fondling everyone. So that's how you are an actor.
Yeah. Yeah, I am such a cat. That's funny.
Okay, so I think like the type of music you listen to says a lot about a person. So what kind of music do you think Carmilla and Laura listen to, and does it differ from your own style of music that you listen to? Who are your favorite bands?
Yeah.
Let's figure this out.
I think Carmilla listens to a lot of classic rock, but also secretly digs Baroque music because she was around, and that is exactly the same as me. There you go.
Oh, I don't know about Laura.
I feel like she likes like female, like feminist music, like singer-songwriter.
Yeah, but she probably also grew up listening to a lot of her dad's music, I would imagine. Like,
they got like Simon and Garfunkel.
Or like James Taylor. Like, I grew up listening to Sting, Bruce Coburn, and James Taylor with my dad.
Sherman Hollis for sure listens to James Taylor. Definitely.
So there was probably a bit of that. But yeah, she's probably also into like more modern stuff. I listen to everything. I really like everything.
Yeah. I just hate that answer, but you know, I'm like, I listen to everything, but it is sort of true.
It is true.
There are things that I gravitate towards.
Yeah. But I do love R&B stuff, and but then I also love like I just like everything.
I listen to a lot of like oldie-timey like ragtime music, and
amazing.
Yeah.
When I say everything, I mean everything except for that.
Yeah. A lot of like Ella Fitzgerald and like stuff from Showboat and. Like,
actually,
I don't think Carmilla would listen to that.
We were just in LA, and Natasha was getting ready, and all of a sudden, a lot of musical theater just started playing, and I was like, "This explains so much about you."
Oh yeah, I was in the playlist where it popped up, and Mark and
it was like Rent.
Yeah, they were like, "What the hell is this?" And I was like, "Shut up."
It was great.
Your high school theater nerd is showing. So we're about to hit the final act of season 3, the final everything of Carmilla. What are you, if you are allowed to say, most excited for, or what are you allowed to tell us about this final moment for your characters?
Woo. It looks really good.
So awesome.
The cinematography, it's going to be really interesting.
So great. I think it's cool to see characters in the final push. I mean, it really, like, everything is at stake in the third act, and the world is about to end, and it's interesting to see characters in the most extreme and desperate of times, like what they're willing to do.
Don't give too much away.
Yeah, I know.
I weaseled spoilers out of them, so it's trying to weasel them out of you.
Yeah, basically just seeing characters pushed to their extremes and pushed to their limits.
Great.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you read the script for the final episode, what surprised you or stood out the most to you? As well as, was there an overall feeling of sadness or genuine pride or bittersweetness?
I went into it knowing that it was the final season. And so, I think probably for the last 5 episodes, I mean, I was curled up in a fetal position on my couch, just bawling, reading these things, because it really did feel like the end of an era.
Yeah.
It felt like, and we've been able to, get all the scripts at once and read it as a family, and experience experience it like that and experience the story that way. And so it was really similar to when I was reading the final